and gentlemen, welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin, this is my co-host Teddy, and today we have another gaming laptop review, and this one is really interesting. And I'll be honest, it was just sprung on me. I had no idea about this laptop, and then I went into Playtech and they were just like, here you go, go give this a review. It's the MSI GS40, and this one in particular that I'm testing is the 6QE-007 AU, and it's a 14-inch Skylake gaming laptop. So as you can see, quite a small form factor here, which is always nice to see. I like it when they, really try to mix the kind of ultrabook and gaming laptops together, and this is what we're really seeing with this one in particular. So let's first talk about the looks, and because it's the first thing you're going to see. And of course, as always with these metal laptops, they're absolute fingerprint magnets, so that's always the sort of downside there, unless you're going to be cleaning it all the time. That might make up for it. However, let's talk about the looks then. So I really like it. It's nothing new. This looks very standard. I mean, a lot of these gaming laptops we see from these companies all kind of blur together to me, because a lot of them look the same. Very few really stand out in the sense that I could just look at them and instantly know which one I'm talking about. But there are them ones out there. They're mainly the really high-end ones, though, it seems. But yeah, I really still like this. Nice and small, nice and thin, good dimensions. I really like the metal finish, as always. Adds real nice build quality to it, makes it a lot more rigid. It's, as I said before, it's like kind of like an ultrabook and a gaming laptop had a baby, and then this is what came out. So you're getting the ultrabook size with the gaming laptop looks, basically. Now let's talk about the I/O then. And if we go into the front, you'll notice that there's nothing much there. Over to the left hand side, we'll see it's all pretty standard. Headphone jack, microphone jack, SD card slot, USB 3.0, the AC input, and an Ethernet port. Around the back, bizarrely, they have a single mini display port. I guess that's an alright place to put it. And over on the right hand side, we see an HDMI port, another USB 3.0 port, and a USB 3.1 Type-C super port. So that's quite cool to see. I quite like that. Oh, there's also a secure lock by the vent there. So that's quite cool. So let's get this guy turned on and check out some of the specs that it's packing. Now, CPU-wise, we're seeing the Intel i7 6700HQ. That's a Skylake CPU. We're seeing a lot of lately. So it has 4 cores plus hyper-threading, and it's coming in with a max speed of 3.5 GHz on turbo. Now that's obviously on the HM170 chipset. Now GPU-wise, coming with the NVIDIA GTX 970M with 3 GB of GDDR5 memory. I was actually quite surprised when I saw that on the spec sheet. I was like, wow, that's really good. RAM-wise, coming with 8 GB of DDR4 memory at 2133 MHz. Now you can, if that's a little bit too little for you, I think that's a nice amount right now. But you can go all the way up to 32 GB if you feel like it. Now storage-wise, coming with a 128 GB M.2 SSD plus a 1 TB 7200 RPM HDD, that's for your mass storage. Now communications-wise, coming with killer 802.11ac plus Bluetooth 4.1. Power adapter-wise, coming with a 150 watt power adapter. This thing's quite the brick, but not the biggest I've seen by any means. That's for sure. The GT80 springs to mind if you want an absolutely giant power adapter. Now dimensions-wise, coming in at 384mm wide by 245mm deep by about 22mm tall. So very small form factor there, and coming in at 1.6 kilograms with the battery in. And it also comes with a 2-year MSI warranty, which I really like. So yeah, really good specs there, packed into a really small frame. It's always what we like to see. Now let's talk about that screen. So it's a 14-inch 1080p IPS panel. The viewing angles are absolutely fantastic, just as what you would expect from any IPS screen. The color reproduction is also fantastic. I really liked it. It looks really great. Movies look fantastic. YouTube is really good, and of course the games, it all looks very nice. This is a nice size once you get used to it. So I'd say about the standard now for laptops would probably be around the 15.5, like 15.6 inch laptops seem to be somewhat commonplace. So it's a little bit smaller than your average, but after you do get used to it, it is really nice. There's a really nice pixel count, and yeah, I didn't really have any problems with the size. If I was being very, very greedy, I might say I would have liked it to be 15.6 inch, but that's more just a personal opinion, and that's probably because I'm coming from a larger desktop display, which is 24 inches. So yeah, that's probably it, but otherwise it's really, really good. Now sound-wise, so when you first, if you ever buy one of these or ever test it out, when you first take it out of the box and play some music or something, you'll play a video, you'll notice that it sounds like it's in an echo chamber. The standard settings are just rubbish. I don't know why it's set like that, but thank God it has Nahamic in it, because then you can go in, one of the pre-installed utilities, you can go in and make some adjustments. And after you do that, it's a lot better, but it's still nothing fantastic. So sound-wise, I think it only does a sort of averagey type job. I mean, it does decent, but it definitely could do a bit better. But I mean, it'll get you by. If you take your audio really, really seriously, I would probably suggest investing in a good pair of headphones if you're going to buy this gaming laptop. Which moves us over now to the keyboard. And this keyboard is by SteelSeries, which automatically means, you know, it's usually been pretty good. All the SteelSeries keyboards that come on laptops I've tested so far have been very good, and this one is no exception to the rule. Very nice backlighting, looks really good, and the feel is fantastic. Layout is also fantastic. All the functions up on the F keys, just where I like it. I would have liked maybe to have the brightness and sound controls down on the arrow keys, but that's okay. It's a 10 keyless layout. And for typing and everything, it was really nice. Good amount of travel, good for gaming too. I was playing some League of Legends with it, and I never noticed it getting in the way at all. Mainly just because I'm coming from a mechanical keyboard, it still felt a bit mushy, but that's to be expected. I mean, it's definitely not on par with that. However, it still does a really, really good job, and better than most laptops do. Moving on down now to the touchpad, the Achilles heel for many gaming laptops, and at first I thought it would be for this one as well. When I first tried it, I was like, oh man, this is horrible. It's really, really sticky, my finger wouldn't glide, and I just really wasn't a fan of it. However, after I used it a bit more, it wasn't as sticky anymore. It might be just because it was brand new, and it got a lot better. I like the size, I like the sensitivity, the clicking worked really well, scrolling worked really well, and I have no complaints when it comes to the touchpad. Good job, MSI. You've done it again with a nice, really solid touchpad. Moving on now to performance, and it's pretty much where you would expect it to be. It's kind of in the mid to high end given the specs that it's packing. So the first benchmark I ran was the Intel Extreme Tune Utility benchmark, and it scored 570 marks, which is a really solid score for a laptop, that's for sure. Then I moved over to the Unigine Valley Extreme HD benchmark, where it scored 36 frames per second average, which again, that's a really solid score there. To give you a reference, most sort of high-end gaming PCs, say my gaming PC with that 390 in it, that scores about 54 frames per second, I think, in the Unigine Valley benchmark, so that's pretty good there. Now moving over to a proper game, Shadow of Mordor, and it scored a very healthy 54.2 frames per second. That's at 1080p on the Ultra preset. So maybe turn down one of those filters and you'll get a good consistent over 60 frames per second experience. And then if League of Legends maxed out, it was doing 150 frames per second average easily, and there was the anti-aliasing. So yeah, it does very fine for your sort of low requirement game. It's going to motor through them, no worries at all. And so I was very impressed by it. It did very well in all the benchmarks. I would say this would do the average person very, very well for all your gaming needs on the go. Obviously, you're going to need to have it plugged in. But yeah, it does really good. Just maybe have to play with the filters a little bit on your high requirement games. Aside from that, though, you should be able to run everything, mostly maxed out, at least on the rest of the settings. It's just those filters you're probably going to have to play with. Which brings us over now to heat and noise. So I like to think that there's like a triangle when it comes to gaming laptops. So on one side of the triangle you have size, on the other side you have performance, and on the bottom side you have like noise and heat. And of course this one, you're getting small size and you're getting great performance, which means you get a lot of noise. It always seems to be the case. You get to pick two. You can't have all three, you get to pick two. So yeah, noise-wise it was pretty up there, and heat-wise it did okay with the CPU going up to 77 degrees Celsius and the Intel benchmark, and the GPU going up to 72 degrees Celsius in the Valley benchmark. So those are pretty healthy, you know, low 70s for the GPU, high 70s for the CPU, and that's fine, no thermal throttling, but the noise is just really abrupt. It comes on very suddenly, and it is quite high, so you're definitely going to want to turn up the volume a lot or wear your headphones when using this for gaming, unless you don't mind all that fan noise. But yeah, it does come on quite abruptly. And the other thing I noticed is this laptop gets very, very hot. If you have it on your lap and you're playing a game, it's going to start getting uncomfortably hot pretty quick. And also up the top by where the function keys are, gets really, really hot. This is one of the first laptops I've ever used where actually touching the metal up there was almost burning my fingers. It's really, really hot. So that's one of the only major cons that I've found with this gaming laptop, is that it is quite noisy and it also does get very hot. But as always, I'll let you judge the noise for yourself. So this is what it sounded like on load during the Unigine Valley benchmark. So that'll give you an idea there of the noise to be expected. It is a bit more, or quite a decent amount more than your average gaming laptop out there. However, it's not absolutely hideous. It's not like reference R9 290, 290X territory where it sounds like, you know, a hairdryer going on full blast. This sort of sounds like a hairdryer going on a medium setting. We'll put it that way. So let's move on now to battery life. And it was about standard as far as gaming laptops go. So with casual use, depending, I mean, it's always hard to say because everyone runs different brightnesses, everyone will, you know, be doing different things on it. But yeah, so with casual use, browsing web, all that sort of stuff, you're going to see maybe 3 hours, give or take, you know, 30 minutes either way, depending on what task you're doing and depending what settings. So about standard there. And with heavy use gaming and such, you'll probably see around 2 hours or maybe a little bit less. It really depends on what you are doing with it. So yeah, pretty standard-ish battery life, but it is a smallish battery considering the, you know, they got to pack it into this thing, and I think it still does a pretty decent job considering this is a gaming laptop. It's not an Ultrabook, so that's still pretty respectable. And of course, you're probably going to be gaming, have it plugged in when you're gaming anyway. Now, as far as pre-installed software goes, it comes with Windows 10 64-bit as its operating system. It's coming with the MSI Dragon Gaming Center, which is actually a pretty useful utility. I like it quite a bit. There's MSI True Color, so you can get the screen set up just how you want it for your specific use case scenarios. There's Nahamic, so you can adjust the audio. Thank God they included that. Oh my goodness, if they didn't have it, ooh, this thing would have been in trouble. System Control Manager, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's pretty basic, but it gets the job done. There's Killer Network Manager as well if you want to get all your communications all set up nicely, and SteelSeries Engine 3 for setting up the keyboard just the way you like it. Which brings us to the conclusion of this MSI GS40 full review. So looks-wise, I think it's really, really sexy. It's nice, small form factor, great build quality, and I really do like it. It's got a really nice 1080p IPS display, viewing angle is fantastic, color reproduction is fantastic, and, you know, consuming media on this is an absolute joy. I really do like it. Now, audio is only decent. It could be better for sure, but it's definitely not that bad. But you do need to make adjustments or else it'll sound like you're in a hangar when you're listening to anything. Keyboard-wise, it did really good. Just standard, good SteelSeries keyboard, and touchpad was also pretty standard, really good. Now, performance I thought was super solid for a gaming laptop of this class. It's going to get you by for everything you need, especially with how portable this guy's going to be. It should get you 60 FPS plus in the majority of games out there, and on very high-end games you're probably going to have to play with the filters to get it, you know, to that stage, but it should still do you very, very well. Now, heat-wise and noise-wise, it was a bit of a disappointment there. It is quite noisy, more noisy than your average laptop, and it does get quite hot. The components themselves did a pretty decent job, but the laptop itself gets very, very warm. So yeah, a bit of a downside there. You're going to get pretty sweaty palms if you're playing games on this guy for a while. I noticed that for sure. So yeah, a bit of a letdown there, MSI. Now, battery-wise is about average, and the pre-installed software is pretty good. So my overall conclusion on this guy is it does an absolutely great job, Great performance in a small form factor. It just lacks in the noise and heat, but even so, I would still give this a good 8.5 out of 10. And this is an absolutely excellent laptop that I would recommend to anyone. You can get around, or at least lessen the cons of heat and noise by putting it on a laptop cooler, and also by investing in a good pair of headphones, which will get around the sound issue as well. And then you should be set. But as a good, solid, small gaming laptop, I do highly recommend it. Great job, MSI. You've done it again. Another great laptop. Now, I thank you all for watching this video. Please subscribe to Tech Showdown if you haven't already, and like the video. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.